about with the Final Black Sabbath show? When did that call come through?
I guess I think I found out about it just like everybody else did. It was just like the bill. I said, oh, well.
So hey guys, Jonathan Graham here for Guitar Interactive Magazine. We are sitting here with the one, the only, Mr. Zakk Wylde. Now,
what are you doing, brother? Aside of breaking cameras, hanging out, having some espresso, I'm doing okay.
That's it, man. You know, in the old days it was smashing television, throwing them out the window. Now you just kick over a camera.
That set me back a couple bucks, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Now, you just dropped something humongous.
Yes. A little Lord Humungous.
Lord Humungous, man, what a comeback this is for Black Label Society. It's been a minute since you guys dropped something new.
Well, we did the Gallows and then I mean, it's a weird thing working on, I guess, the way the whole the business is now. You know, I mean, usually you'd make you make an album and then put it out, and I mean, it's just like now. I mean, at this rate, we could just keep putting singles out. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's weird. Yeah. I mean, usually, I'm just saying the way, even when I started with The Boss back in 87 and then 88, we put out No Rest for the Wicked. You do a couple videos and then you put the album out and then you tour behind it. Then you go back home and then we'd start working on No More Tears. You know what I mean? And then same process. You work on the record, you record the record, then you make some videos and then you put the album out and then everybody tours. But it's weird now, with the internet and everything, and it's just, because as soon as you put the album out, it goes on your phone. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I don't mind. I think it's great, but I mean, it's just, it's just weird, the evolution of how it's done.
And that's it. The build-up is kind of lost a little bit. It's just it's instantly dropped.
I think it's kind of cool in a way because this way people, I could care less if we put out 6 videos, before the album comes out. This way people hear more of the record. Usually you just put out like 2 singles and then the record's done. It does bother me. I mean, to me, it's music at the end of the day.
That's it. You're just going to keep writing the music and putting it out when it's ready. I mean, I suppose at this stage in your career, you're only going to drop something if you're really proud of it.
I mean, if you wrote something today, if you wrote Knocking on Heaven's Door and it never existed, and I was like, what's that? And you were like, oh, it's something I was working on this morning. It's just like, we should record that. It's just you and the acoustic, and then we'll make a video behind it, and then we'll put it out. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I'm saying, before you know it, another year is gone, and,
Of course.
I'm just saying, just keep writing songs.
I'm assuming album 12 is going to come, though.
Yeah, we recorded over a year ago, we were working on this album.
Right.
So, we recorded a whole bunch of stuff. Lord Humungous, we tracked not that long ago. Just because I was just sitting, when I got home, I was just sitting, I practice amp out in the gym at my house, and I just sit down with some called, Valhalla Jam, and I'll just start jamming riffs, chanting. The same thing with the Gallows. I just wrote that one, and then we went and the fellas came out to the Vatican, and then we just did a new record. And, I'll sing some vocals on it, and then we just, JD and Adam will mix it, and then box it up, and then ship out the Black Label donuts. You know what I mean? So
when do you think we'll get to hear more then?
Yeah. Like right now, I just figured once we get done with now we're done with the Pantera celebration, I guess this leg of it, and then we're going to do the Zakk Sabbath run. Then after we get done with that, I, clean a dog run up, and then maybe we'll track some more stuff and then make another video. Maybe, Lord Humungous 2, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, make that Mad Max
just keep
trilogy.
Going through the rest of the Mad Max characters over there. So,
Yeah, well, it's a killer
Mad
track.
Max is awesome.
It feels like it could be, perfect for the next movie that they make. You know what I mean? It'll definitely fit in there for sure.
Somebody said, man, Zakk, he goes, the new video, the Lord, you guys are all dressed up like Lord Humungous. It's like, this is a Slipknot influence. And I go, well, yes, it is the Slipknot influence because Slipknot's amazing and they're all great guys. But we refer to ourselves as, with the B, C, D, like lower, maybe E, F version of Slipknot, and we're just known as Slapnuts. You know what I mean? So, they're the Coca-Cola of, the bands and outfits. You know what I mean? Sure. And they're the gold standard where the Black Label, with us, with Lord Humungous, we're kind of like the ShopRite, Mr. Pibb version. Not even as good as R.C. Cola. We're way down on the list there.
Black Label, one of the best bands around, and you know it, and the fans are hardcore for it. What does it mean to you to have, because this is just growing and growing and growing so much, all these different chapters all throughout the world. You must see it, because I know you're online a lot as well, social media. Can you believe that it's grown to what it is?
Well, I just think, a beautiful thing. I always thought, growing up in Jersey, our next door neighbors, the Smiths that lived next door to us, they had Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They had 11 kids, and Scotty was my buddy, and he was the youngest, and Scott's oldest brother was 44 years old. So. And people would always ask, they go, oh my God, are they Catholic? And actually, yes, they are. So, but they had 6 boys, 5 girls. And I remember Scotty's older brothers, that's where I heard, everything classic rock now. Between the Allman Brothers, Black Sabbath, Zeppelin, Bad Company, they'd be always Skinner, they'd be cranking it over at the house, the Eagles, everything. But I remember Scott's older brother, Dougie, all his buddies would come over, and they were all, the Grateful Dead. They were all Deadheads, but they'd all get together at the Smiths, and they'd have these amazing keg parties over at the house, and then they'd all get ready, and they would road trip it out on these Grateful Dead gigs. But I always thought it was like the coolest thing that the Dead was bigger than it was a community, and it just like you'd run into, I always thought it was the coolest thing that you'd have had people, all their friends would be from like Boston, from upstate New York, and then they'd all meet down in Jersey, and then they'd have friends from Philadelphia, and they'd all get up there, and they're all Deadheads, and they would just road trip it and go see the Dead. They'd go out all the way to Cleveland or Chicago, and then all come back. They'd go out for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, just going to see the Dead. But it was just, they were all buddies, and they were all just best friends. But what brought them all together was the band. Was the Dead. And to this day, even with the, Dead and Company, it's still it's a community. It's bigger than the band. And I always thought that would be great. That, with Black Label, it's just like it's just a community. Yeah. Which I think is a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, and that's exactly what you've achieved. And another incredible community is the Pantera community. How does it feel to have been
I've always said that
guys?
With Pantera, it's a culture, and it's a community, without a doubt. So, and you see it when we're out there playing. It just, I think it's a beautiful thing, because it brings everybody back together. That, saw Pantera when the fellas were playing in front of 10 people at a bar and grill, you know what I mean?
Was that the first time you saw them?
No, the first time I actually saw the fellas was with Pride and Glory, when we played Donington, when we played there, and then it was Pantera, Extreme, Nuno and the fellas, and then Aerosmith. But that was the first time I seen Pantera, and it was just like, just an unstoppable rebel force. Like John Bon Jovi, an unstoppable rebel force. The mighty John Bon. But being from Jersey, without a doubt, Springsteen and Bon Jovi. But no, it just the power coming off the stage with the guys. It's just on the side of the stage, just witnessing it. It was a sight to behold, for sure. But
and obviously you'd heard those records before, though. You were well aware
Yeah,
of
well,
these
you know
guys.
how special they were. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it was like, wow. And but to see it live, though, it was like pretty incredible. So, but yeah, seeing people every night, because it truly is awesome, because it's just because Philip will always ask everybody every night how many people saw Pantera back in the day, and obviously you have the Pantera faithful, and then when Philip is just like, how many people this is their first time seeing Pantera? It's just like, I'd have to say it's like 75-80% of the crowd are the younger kids. Like I never got a chance to see Sabbath or Zeppelin back in the 70s, so it was just because by the time Sabbath ended, I was just 11, 12 years old, so I was just discovering them then. And the same thing with Zeppelin, so I never got a chance to see them live. So to see for all those younger kids that, some kids were like 3 years old, you know, and their older brothers were like, you know, are like, oh, we saw Pantera back in the day. They were on fire and this and that. And so now they're hearing the legend of Pantera. So for them to actually hear these songs live, you know, it's just, for them, that just goes to show you the timelessness of the music. Phil called me up and he was like, Zakk, you want to, you know, do this thing? And I said, well, you know, because I always told the fellas, I go, if you ever, because there was always talks about it going on, you know what I mean? And I said, fellas, if you know, when Vincenzo was still alive and before Vinny passed, it was just like, I always said, guys, if you ever wanted to do something like that, of course I would be there to support you. So, you know, just let me know. So I you know, it's like, guys, it's just let me know when you want to do it. I'll always be here for you to support you. I mean, me and Charlie are honored to be up there and pay tribute to the guys every night.
Mentioning the fact that it was Donington that you saw them live, and obviously you still feel that visceral reaction, you know, to hearing the incredible force from these guys. Taking Pantera back to download in Donington last year, was that running through your mind that you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, because like they said, that was the first time I saw Dime and the fellas. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, every night, and you know, just us doing the Wembley Arena show the other night, it was just, it's a beautiful thing. You know, like you said, it's, you know, the Pantera faithful and the youth coming together.
What for you is like the defining factor in Dime's playing that just sets them apart from everyone else?
Oh, you know, for me, learning, you know, aside of like Walk, you know, the real popular songs and everything like that, but it's just like when we're learning a lot of the other songs, just Dime's, you know, just like Jimi Hendrix, you know, St. Rhodes, and you know, or Eddie Van Halen, or all the guys we love, Jimmy Page, Tony Iommi, all the guys. It's their writing, and it's, you know, with Dime, it would be like, the chord changes he would go to, it was like, oh wow, that's interesting. You know what I mean? Because the chord choices would be very, very unusual, and I could hear where he's going, where it would be like, nah, I don't want to go there because that sounds. Not that it's typical. It just seems like even though it feels natural to go to this chord change, I'm going to throw this in there just so it'll. Where you're like, oh wow, what's that? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you know, so I found that very interesting. And I mean, you know, aside of Dime's amazing chops and his technique and everything like that, obviously he's, you know, that aspect of his playing is amazing. But it's his writing.
Absolutely.
You know, just like Randy and Jimi Hendrix and all the guys we love. So it'll just, that's what makes his playing timeless.
Well, all you guys that you've mentioned, including yourself, you know, you've got such a distinctive voice, a signature on the instrument. You just need to hear a couple of notes and you're like, I know who that is. Bringing that to the Pantera sound is its own challenge in itself, you know, because in that way you'll see some fans and they'll become and they go, I kind of want a recreation of like Pantera back in the day. Of course, you can't do that without the four guys. It's different. It's two different guys in there. But was there an element where you were trying to find that balance of like, I want to serve the song, I want to get it as close to the way Dime is going to play it, but I still kind of want people to get a little bit of Zakk flavour?
Well, yeah, you play, you know, I mean, there's, you know, like the soul of the Walk or whatever, you know, you try to play it as close as you can, just like when you're playing the soul of the Crazy Train or the soul of the Flying High Again or anything like that. So,
yeah, of course, you got a lot of experience with that.
But it's just like when Randy was playing, you know, Lord Iommi's stuff. When you hear Randy playing Children of the Grave or Paranoid, you listen to her Iron Man, you go, it sounds like Randy playing Tony Iommi. You know, I mean, it just the guitar tone alone. You know, like if Dime was playing No More Tears or Mama, I'm Coming Home, you'd hear it and you'd go, that sounds like Dime playing No More, you know, because of his touch and his feel.
Of course.
And it just, whatever player it's going to be, you know what I mean? If it was Jeff Beck playing the solo to Stairway to Heaven, and he was, you know, they were paying tribute to Jimmy and stuff like that, you know, him and Eric Clapton or whatever, and just doing a big Led Zeppelin, you know, tribute to Jimmy.
Yeah.
It would sound like Eric playing Zeppelin, and it would sound like Jeff playing Zeppelin, you know, the solo, the Stairway to Heaven. It's just like, that sounds like Jeff Beck. It's
You
like,
ca-
yeah,
you
it's
can't
'cause
remove.
it is. It's
You
Jeff
can't remove.
Beck.
Yeah, you can't remove the player.
Even though the notes are, even if it's note for note.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
So it's just like, it sounds like, you know, Eddie Van Halen playing rocket, you know, when he's playing rock and roll with Sammy Hagar. Sounds like Eddie playing Jimmy Page licks, you know what I mean? It's just,
it ends up making it its own thing, of course. Where's that Razorback guitar? You know, the one Dime gave you?
What's that, bro?
You know the Razorback guitar they gave you as a gift like years ago?
I have all my dime guitars. Yeah, I have them at the, they're back at the Vatican.
Any chance any of those make a tour down the line? Like,
no, I mean, obviously, I don't want anything to ever happen to those things. But yeah, you never know. I mean, I could break them out.
Let's talk about Wild Audio because, man, this thing has just gone through the roof. You know, just going from strength to strength. What's new for 2025?
Well, you know, we have the new Berserker out right now, and I'm a fan of, you know, the Ugly Guitars on Instagram. It's a great page. You got to follow that. They just pick out all the most obscure, odd body shape, or just guitars in general. It's just awesome. I mean, as much as I love, you know, we all love, because we're fans of guitar. You know, you love your classic Les Paul shape and Strat shape, you know, the classics. And they're classy looking and everything like that. But I've always loved the obscure things. I mean, ever since I've been a kid, you know, just like, so, no, just making, you know, somebody was like, that's got to be the ugliest guitar I've ever seen in my life. I go, thank you. Goal reached. You know,
I can see the advert already. You know, like, you know, you do these amazing Facebook posts sometimes with the coffee.
Yeah, you think this thing's hideous? Oh, we've got plenty more of those.
Well, you know, it's a tough, you know, thing to get right for the reasons you mentioned, because, you know, that way, that Les Paul shape, that Strat shape, you know, they've not changed, and it's kind of timeless. So, and when you look at violins or saxophones and stuff, they're not changing their shape. They're just the one shape, but guitars have all these different ones.
That's the beauty of it, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like, and you want to keep those classic shapes, man. I mean, that's where the bet. But I mean, even when you look back when Gibson came out with, you know, the V.
Yeah.
You know, they had the V, the Explorer, the Moderne.
Yeah.
When they came out with those, people were like, these things are hideous, man. What are you guys thinking? You know what I mean? So, and I love them. Sure. You know, I love them more. I love the Moderne. That's like the most ugliest of them all.
It's cool,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's just, I think it's awesome just because it's so ugly. It just makes it awesome.
With things being a little bit better over there, take it they've not reached out and said, hey, look, could we do a little collaboration?
At
Gibson?
The Gibson gang?
Yeah, because you know that way
I'm still friends with everybody over there. You know, it's everybody at Marshall, and you know, so I mean, that's obviously where I come from. You know, I mean, that's my alma mater, and that's where I'm proud of that. But it's like playing for, you know, obviously me and you played for Manchester United, and then we're vice president of operations, and then the only logical step is for me and you to own a team. You know what I mean? That's the next step.
Yeah.
So it's just, and that's why I got my own company.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love it. I mean, it's just like whatever shape me and you want to draw up. It's just like, you know, with the Warhammer, you got Tony Iommi in the front, and then you got St. Rhodes in the back. You know, you got a SG meets a Flying V. So you just mock it. You know, I'll draw them all on paper.
Of course.
And then, you know, I'll take it from there. So like, you know, anything like the Berserker, the Gorgon, I mean, any of the odd shape. We got another one coming out, the Wrathmaker. That's going to be next up, but we're working on the body shape on that one.
And we're going to be able to get those in the UK as well, yeah?
Well, we just did Guitar in Camden the other day, which was great. So the staff everybody was there, super cool, and then all the Berserkers showed up, so it was a great day.
Awesome. Just one more thing on the Pantera side of things. If Phil came to you and he said, look, I'd like to do some more music because this thing has just been kicking off, you know, would you do it?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, the fellas were talking about doing something, you know, and Rita has tons of, you know, cassette recordings of Dime writing riffs and stuff like that. So, you know, I guess if it would be like something like, let's say if it's Eric Clapton playing with Mitch and Noel, you know, because if Eric went out and did you know, what we're doing right now, did like a Jimi Hendrix celebration, and you know, Mitch and Noel asked Eric Clapton to come out because he was, you know, buddies with Jimmy, and he was just like, would you go out and sing and play Jimmy's stuff? And it was just like, Eric does it. And then after that, it's just like, we got these recordings of Jimmy never finished of like a song called Purple Haze and the song called The Wind Cries Mary and this song called Little Wing or whatever, you know, and it's like, Eric, can you, you know, we'll properly record them, you know, because if they were just like, you know, Jimmy just jamming on a tape recorder, you know, just him playing them, you know, I mean, if they were, you know, obviously Dime's original riffs and ideas, yeah, of course, you know what I mean? But Pantera is those four guys. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, yeah, you can't write, you know, you're going to call it the Jimi Hendrix Band and you got Eric playing and singing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just Mitch and Noel. It's just, you know, if it's Jimmy's original ideas, you know what I mean? And then they're just going to properly record them. You know, take it from the little tape recorder from a cassette. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. You know what I mean?
Be very interesting.
Yeah, because there was something Dime wrote and Vinny were working on or whatever, you know?
Yeah, incredible. You mentioned there you never got to see Sabbath live, you know, and I just thought it was an interesting way of putting that, because obviously Sabbath continued with
well, I did actually see them when they did the gig in like '01 or whatever. Remember when they did the Ozfest?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I did see, and I was getting chills.
But I just wondered, you know, like, because sometimes when the original singer changes in a band, there's always a kind of dispute, like, should it continue with that name?
Well, the first gig I ever saw was with Ronnie James Dio on the Mob Rule tour in Philadelphia.
Talk to us about that.
Oh, mind-blowing. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
It was like the first real rock concert I ever saw. So, yeah, that was, forget about it, lights out.
And those albums, of course, are insane.
Yeah, I mean, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, classics.
But do you think it should have maybe been a different band name? Do you think it's still Black Sabbath? I mean, obviously it is factually still Black Sabbath.
I think when they changed it to Heaven and Hell,
I think that suits it
better. Yeah, because it's its own thing. It really is. I mean, it's like Ozzy calling Blizzard of Oz Black Sabbath. It's its own thing. You know what I mean? It's just when, you know, with Randy, Bob, and Lee. I mean, those Blizzard and Diary are their own thing. You know what I mean? Because I remember Eddie Trunk, me and Ed were talking about it. He goes, "Yeah, well, Sabbath, you know, it's just as much Sabbath as when Ozzy." I go, "But it's a different. It sounds like a whole different band, which is a compliment."
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just, I mean, when Sabbath, you know, when Ozzy left, I mean, it was just like a reset button for both of them. You know, because when Ronnie came in the band, I mean, Tony's riffs, the production, his guitar tone, I mean, everything changed. It was just like a whole new band.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with Ozzy, with Randy, Bob, and Lee. Just like all new creative ideas and just fresh, new ideas. It was just, for both of them, it was like amazing.
Yeah.
It was like both of them were like reborn.
And what about with the final Black Sabbath show? When did that call come through?
I guess, I think I found out about it just like everybody else did. It was just like the bill. I said, "Oh, well, I guess we're doing this now."
You're on the bill? You're like, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, we'll hopefully I'll go see Oz when we get back, you know, back to the States after we get done with the Zakk Sabbath thing. And then, you know, either go see Oz and then I'll bring the acoustic over there and go through songs or whatever he wants to jam on. You know what I mean?
You think there's a good chance that he'll do some solo music
well,
as well?
You know, yeah, I guess he wants to do some of, I guess, an Ozzy set and then a Sabbath set. So, you know, so we'll see. And
would you do some, you know, Zakk Sabbath style as well on there if it's required?
Whatever Oz asks me to do. You know, he makes me, Zachy, make another ham sandwich, go light on the Colemans, no problem. Hopefully Oz has a blast. He sings great, and then Oz says, "All right, Zakk, let's fire this machine up again and let's go out on the road." There you go. I guess that would be, hopefully that happens. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, Oz was singing a little bit of Mama, I'm Coming Home when we did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He sounded great, so.
Yeah, because his voice is there. You know, if you were just, if you can't see that, his mobility isn't great, I don't think you'd ever know.
Yeah, just put him on a throne and have it fly out over the audience. You know,
see that.
You'd shoot out buckets of water and ham sandwiches and everything like that. So, you know, make a spectacle out of it.
You're going to be back in town again in a couple of weeks with Zakk Sabbath. Incredible shows when you put these things together. Just talk us through, like, how much of a blast it is playing these songs the way you do with this band.
Well, I mean, with the Zakk Sabbath thing, I love it. It's just I was playing these songs since I've been 15 years old. Now I'm 58, and I'm still playing these songs, and it's just like I used to play keg parties, people's kitchens, And now it's just a couple more people show up. So, I still love it. It's timeless, man.
Awesome. Look, thanks so much for taking the time, Zakk. It's always a pleasure.
Well, thanks for having me. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this camera off and break it by the time I leave.